Thank you very much. I want to say congratulations to the organizers. And I say, I don't know if I should say congratulations to those whose case, treasonable case, has been now quashed. I don't know what to say, but I'm happy that the case is no more, for the 11, and I want to just appreciate each and every one of them for the sacrifice that they have made for this country, because they were put in prison for 5 weeks without trial, and then taken up, and then going back and forth with cases that because of the pressure that was mounted, the judge will say, I am sick. Today he's not sitting, and so on and so forth. But where we are now. And I congratulate you again, because when I see my picture among those who have gone, at first I looked at the pictures very seriously, and I said, okay, am I on my way to my ancestors? Then I saw Shore, I said, okay, we are still alive. Some of us are still alive and here. And what that is saying is that if you don't take a stance, the history of our times will not count you in when you should. The archaeology of Nigeria, of activism, will record what you have done because you are walking on the path. Some of the lessons from NSAS, when NSAS happened, for me, I've been speaking every day to say that we're sitting on a time bomb. We have the huge population of young people who have nowhere to go. We have a huge population of young people who every day they wake up and there is no job. They have all the energy. And I always put it that population is a blessing, not a curse. In other climes, they are looking for the population for active young men and women, young men and young women, to even attend to their industries. But we have the young men and young women, we are churning them out of NYC every month or thereabout. Every quarter, we are churning them out in their thousands or in their millions, and we have no place for them to go. And that showed you that the government that is not planning for such population is waiting for the time to crumble, because that is not fair. Because the generations before us was, before you finish your university, first they give you scholarship to go to the university. Before you finish your university, there is a set place for you. There are so many jobs that they will call you left and right. But we have a lot of volume of young people, our young men and women who cannot get married now because they don't have a job. If you don't have a job, what are you going to use for the dowry? How do you go to marry somebody's child? Who will also give you the child? And who will come to marry you if the guy is not working? So we have a huge generation. And so for me, I knew that the time bomb that we're sitting on will explode sometime. If you see with the NSAS, it wasn't because people were poor. It was not only children of the poor, but children of the rich. Because young Nigerians need to talk to themselves to say, this is not the way the country needs to go. Like on a Sunday, because the protest started on a Sunday, I normally I'm a Catholic, so I go for 6:30 Mass. And so I went for 6:30 Mass and came back home and wanted to sleep. Normally, my body goes to rest on Sundays. It's very natural with me. And then I got an SOS call from my daughter, who was like speaking but didn't want to be heard. Mommy, please save me. Where are you? I did not go. She went for the protest. And then save me. Mommy, this is my location. I jumped out of the house and ran, like no man's business, to go to Eagle Square, somewhere in a security guys' quarter, where they sort of grabbed 4 of the girls and put them for safety before the police. Some of them, they pumped pepper into their eyes. My daughter's hand was like this because the police really hit them with their batons and so on and so forth. So we ended up in the hospital. And of course, we went, until about 4 p.m., x-rays and all of that. When we all finished, at the end of the day, I took them to Chicken Republic. He said, Mommy, where are you going to? I said, hey, welcome to activism. And my daughter, of course, knows that I'm not one of those who will say, don't go if you want to go and you make up your mind. Because activism is not something you implant in somebody. Because when you are in a class with people, you find out that some people need to be mobilized before they join any action. They need to be convinced. But a natural activist, you'll be there. My first year in the university, my husband was confused. He said, there was a protest, and I know that you'll be there. And so I was worried. I said, Kai, this guy knows me very well. You know, but the essence of it is that the young population came out. I didn't come out, particularly for any real activity, but I was watching young Nigerians taking the mantle and going to the streets and protesting for their country. It gave me hope that there is hope in this country. But when we came to end bad governance, because it was general, I wanted to be there. Naturally, I was in Jos, but came down to Abuja to be there. But Channels Television had booked me down and said, you know, 2 weeks before then, because we gave a long notice, right? You know, booked me down and said I must be in their studio. That what I'll be doing in their studio is also to help the protest. I didn't want to because I wanted to be there. And for me too, the older generation coming out is protective for the younger generation as well. And so that day I stayed and kept watching what was happening in Abuja and watching what was happening all over the country and making comments on them. Of course, the following day they started shooting and all of that. And, you know, even for the very first time too, Nigerians were constricted to a stadium. This country belongs to who? How can you tell Nigerians to go to the stadium to go and protest? I think that's why we lost out. When they went for gold, they were in Olympics, didn't it? They didn't collect any this thing because stadium has become a place for protest and not a place for games. And so for me, so I took it personally when they started shooting the young people. I said, I'm still here. I have been in every protest that happens that have that activism involvement. I have been there. Unless I'm not in Nigeria, unless I'm not around, I will be there if I'm convinced that one of the things you tell yourself is, what is going on? Do you have? Because Malcolm X says it's not about dying, but what am I dying for? Death is a must. We are all going to die. And so when they started shooting, I said, okay, if you were in Abuja at that time, if you look at, see the kind of security at the stadium was something else. So I called two friends of mine, Uma Odi and Komri Hawa, Mustafa, and I said, this is the time. Can any one of you come out? We took a mat to near the stadium with the security facing them. And that's where we remain for the remaining of the days of the protest, being guarded by heavy armor and so on and so forth. And we also see certain things that, because when you are protesting and you're having a level of things with them, the first 4 days, the police brought refreshment for the police. They were almost 100 or more. You know, they brought refreshment. The remaining days, nobody saw anything from them. They were getting hungry. That is to say that you need to throw your net beyond what we are seeing, because in many places you find out that even the police will join the protest, you know, because of the way they are being treated. And so for me, you know, and then the media was exceptional. In Abuja, the media was exceptional. Sometimes it will be only me that is sitting down at the stadium there. But about 15 media houses will come every day. On a daily basis, they were coming. And we gave them nothing. It was on the last day that for some progressives that were in a meeting, I said tomorrow is the end bad governance protest. If there is anybody, anything that somebody want to, I want to give refreshment to the media. And even the police. And somebody just said, give me the bill. Well done. And that was the last day that we now shared refreshment to the members of the media, and then we took it to the police too. Of course, they're human beings. They also took it. So I think some of the lessons is that, and what that Abuja own showed me is that even as a one person, you can raise a squad. You can protest. Nigeria is going down. And if we don't protest, we are supposed to be in a democracy. But in a democracy where young people came out, say we are hungry, people are hungry, and at the end of the day, what did you find from them? They were charged for treason. If you know the encounter of those who were in Kaduna and Kano, who silently, and I know there are many other activists that were jailed without anybody having a trace in them. What they saw was something else. They charged them for treason. But you find out that a sitting government, you know, a democratic government like Rivers State, President Tinubu can orchestrate the removal or suspension without anybody raising an eyebrow. We need to plan. You know, during the NSAS, something significant happened. There was an emergence of young feminists, young women that came on board. A lot of strength there. And I think we were told that an account was opened. And it wasn't only affecting young people living in the country. All the young people outside the country also lent their voices, and they wanted to be part of it. People wanted to contribute to it. They opened an account. I think EFCC or is it DSS shut the accounts down because everybody wanted to contribute to that account. What I realized during the NSAS, also the food that was emerging, some of them were emerging from houses nearby. You know, contribution from Nigerians were coming out as well. And I realized that when we had a shutdown of the National Assembly gate in 2022, when we locked it down, some people will even come with a carton of water and say, this is what I can contribute. I think there was a massive stimulation across the whole country. The reaction was general. And that emergence, the issue was, though we can say that there was no planning, it was spontaneous. But Comrade Aremu of blessed memory made me to know that there was a minimal planning. And it is important that even when you have activists on ground, when there are things happening, it is important for us to also make sure that we are able to take over the organizing at certain quarters. Because you don't want to lose lives, and you want to account for the lives that are before you, those who are following you. You want to be sure that they are protected as well. Very, very important. Unfortunately, some other people took advantage as well. I think the capacity of Nigerians to organize. We have artists. That's why Chioma is here. You know, she's an artist on one side, and also you have medical doctors who are activists. They know who is lying. They know who is also telling the truth. It's like working in an office. When you are not one of those who sing praises, they will castigate you. They will do so many terrible things to you. But when they want the truth in the office, they know who to go to. And so, when you look at what happened during NSAS, you find out that we have a young emergence, whether it's the reality or what have you. I want to say that there was a massive advocacy during the End Bad Governance. If you look at it very well, the government of Nigeria was not sleeping. They brought all the traditional rulers to Abuja. They brought all the faith leaders to Abuja, whether you are Muslims or Christian leaders. They brought all the governors. There has never been any protest that they were as frightened as that of End Bad Governance. And these were few people. Another unique thing that I can tell you is that throughout the period, nobody, no activist called me to say, Ene, how are you doing in Abuja? We were not even getting any information. But you knew what to do. You know where to be. There was no communication at all. Nobody was briefing me from Lagos. Nobody was briefing me from Port Harcourt or anywhere, but we were moving on. It's like the activists knew what to do. We knew it was 10 days, and we were willing to make sure that those 10 days were pulled down. I just want to also say that the issue of fuel subsidy, this government came on board, and the day they came on board, I have never seen that kind of irresponsibility in terms of declaring a statement that has no policy. Fuel subsidy is gone. And I can tell you that when I was country director of Action Aid Nigeria, the World Bank called me for a meeting, and I organized my team, they organized their team. We were online then. This was 2021, I believe, during the COVID moment. They were asking the Nigerian government to increase fuel price, and also tariff, electricity tariff. And I looked at the World Bank guy. I said, anyway, I issued a statement. I didn't know that's where they were going until the meeting progressed, and they said, the statement he issued the other day. I said, you cannot increase fuel at this moment. Don't forget that more than 139 million Nigerians are living below the poverty line. So when you are on the street, therefore, and there is food, children will come and take and eat. Even adults, even old people will want to eat that food because there is hunger. And so I want to pull it out my first place of work was Nigerian Labour Congress. And so when when you talk of comrade, Honorable Chima, my distinguished brother, Comrade Chima Ubani, of blessed memory, when I saw those pictures here, it brought chills for me. Because when an activist is in jail, all of you are in jail. That was the feeling and the connection. When Chima will be in jail, some of us will be in our houses and crying because we had that connection. Every comrade was a brother and a sister. If somebody were coming to my house, then the Institute for Health, at that time, all they needed to do is to give Ene Obi's address to a comrade. Whether you are coming from Maiduguri, you are coming to anywhere, you can go to my bedroom and sleep. That was the kind of trust that we built with ourselves. And so, we can say that whatever they are talking about, fuel subsidy, I was there when the fuel was being taken from 11 naira to 22 naira. Whatever they are talking about, there is a standing committee report from the House of Representatives that they saw that the Nigerian government was paying subsidies to faceless people. There is no accountability about it. What are we talking about? We have 4 refineries, giant refineries, that is not working, and they are still paying the staff. It's not working. The engines are there. The Nigerian government shut these places down. They went to Malta, a place like Malta, a very small country, and other places. They are taking our crude from here and they go and purify it there and then bring it back to us, and the poor people are paying the price. None of it is working. Even when they were not giving Dangote the crude, now they are giving Dangote crude. The price has not come down. What happened to the cost between the transportation and where we are now? Why can't we? Because if 4 refineries are working, so many Nigerians will be employed. And then when you go through that process, what they use in terms of tires and so on are the products that come from crude refinement. So I want to let you know that there is nothing called, for me, there is nothing called fuel subsidy. When your president can buy a vehicle for 1 billion, when your president can buy a yacht, his place of work is where? Abuja. Are you not the one that pulled him in the place of work? Whether he collected it or he won it or he didn't win it, but he's on the seat. Why buying a yacht with Nigerian workers' money? With Nigerian money. And so it's very important for us to understand this while the poverty is going on. And have you seen the kind of motorcades that follows the politicians? And each of those vehicles, majority of them are bulletproof. They bulletproof their houses, bulletproof the cars, but they can't bulletproof the road, isn't it? And bad governance showed that the Nigerian people have the power. The power belongs to the people, and it's a very great pleasure indeed. One of the things we're also experiencing because of the multitude of organizing, when we were students, when we were arrested, there were no mobile phones then. But Ganifa and me and Femi Falana will know which student has been arrested, and they will reach out to us one way or the other. So that organizing, very, very important, that they use their resources as activists. So you have activists, some of them are very rich people now, some of them are somewhere. They still will deploy their resources in one way or the other. I want to see another thing that I want to bring out is when I was a governance team leader in ActionAid, we created what we call Activista, which is a generation of young people, which, you know, we have my young lady here now. Many of them are very proud of that we trained both locally and internationally. Many of them are in the UN today. But I can tell you that during the EndSARS, one guy called me, I will not pull his name now, he called me to tell me that he was at the gate, that they carried some bodies to Delta and dumped in the forest, and that he was lucky to survive. I tried, so he told me he had nothing. I rushed some money, personal money to him for survival. He moved again and told me he was running around because they were tracing him. I told him, I said, whichever state you are, tell me exactly where you are and I'll bring you help. One of the days he will tell me, let him, you know, that he cannot stand now. You know, he was badly damaged, his body was badly damaged. And then I'll wait for the picture that will not come. Eventually you see his arms bandaged and all of that, and the picture is taken. Okay, tell me exactly where, because we have the capacity. I was in ActionAid as an activist. If I have legal, of course, everything I do is legal. I can use my personal money. I can even look around for some comrades to rescue this gentleman. But he was dealing with me. Sometimes I will send him like 200,000 and so on and so forth. Okay, do this and give me. Let me speak with you on video. He will give me long reasons. And one time, the humanitarian manager, when we wanted to even bring more money out for him and his family, because we can also care for you and your family when you are in distress. But the guy, the way he was doing, my humanitarian manager says, somebody is playing you. And so people take advantage of the system. So the issue of whether people have is for every state to mobilize very seriously. And I think I had problem with September 22, sorry. September 22 was the day of the national hearing on the special seats bill. We had a huge mobilization to Transcorp. And that day, all the women, because we had a massive mobilization, that majority of the people will not be able to enter, Congress Hall. Meaning that we needed to plan to ensure that we handle the crowd, the rest of the crowd were outside. Majority of the people went inside. All the leaders went inside, leaving me alone, having to cope with the crowd. I'm just bringing the perspective that it is important for us to have commanders. It is important for you to know that even if you are the last person at the back, that you have a role. We need organizing, whether it is stagecraft, whether it is dancing. When we were at the National Assembly gate, every day we were doing traditional dances. When you are talking of producing services, are we going to bribe people so that they come for protests? But we are in a very difficult environment now. Difficult environment because people are finding it hard, is a survival mode. My generation, there was nothing like per diem. Who will give you per diem? Who will put you in a hotel? There is nothing like hotel. When we are movements to go and have a meeting, if we are going to Port Harcourt, many of us will go to Port Harcourt without anything, without a dime in our pocket. Because if you have long-range vehicles, you know, the trailers and all of that, they will take you free. And you can enter free without knowing the driver from the previous day. And you are able to get to your destination. And also traveling through the night and going to the venue. In those days, we will come for meetings. We come for meetings, everybody will travel throughout their environment, and then by 10 p.m. on Saturday, we start our meetings. And by 4:30 in the morning, maybe the meeting is over. You brush your face, and then we'll start announcing which comrade does not have transport to go back. And people will start making contributions because it was a very selfless period that anybody who has a comrade who has money, it means everybody has money because he will divulge whatever. And if you remember what led to the death of Comrade Chima Ubani, he gave up his seat. He had a flight ticket, but somebody was ill and he gave up his seat. Unfortunately, we don't know how it happened. The accident happened, but he died in the accident. Because for us, it is the act of, you know, we are complete sacrifices, you know, to our country. We believed in our country. We believed in one another as well. And so we will go to hold meetings. We never got luxurious place like this to hold a meeting. If you have a place like this to hold a meeting, it means we have beds, like on the floor like this. If you have 1 hour or two to catch up, sleep, you catch up. There were no hotels. Our people's homes, comrades' homes, were the homes where we were lodged. If you had time to be lodged, that's where you stay. And so when we are looking at, services to be provided, now because of hunger, if you want to move people, people need to be transported. You can't jump inside any vehicle anymore. People will refuse to give you lift because they don't know who you are. And so you cannot move freely anymore. And people are not as friendly. The roads are not as friendly. Everywhere is a chaos, and also, you know, a lot of hostility within our environment. So organizing, I would say, is now different from the time we used to move freely. And now there is NGOism. NGOs have come to be. People have projects and programs. They want to invite you to a meeting, they pay you transport, they pay you per diem. We didn't have that luxury. But we now also, my time met it because I'm one of those who will also, if we're inviting comrades, we'll fly them to a particular place because there is funding for it. But the heart is different. You have to be someone who is committed. You have to be someone who wants. How we're able to choose Activista was we see young people who are very, very active, who are intelligent and want to be a part of a particular thing, and then we mobilize them. We don't just mobilize everybody or provide services for everybody. It's not everybody who wants to move, but there are also people who are looking for survival. And we come to your event. You have to pay for it, or you have to have services that are available. But I'm also to say that services that are available, that members or comrades have the capacity, they should also be able to provide. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so Comrade Isarsi, this is going to...
As we conclude, because there's a big movement on the special seat bill, you know, with women from across the country. That is happening right now, and what we now have, we have a gender desk, you know, at the National Assembly, where we open every day. People come from all walks of life. And whether it's persons with disability, whether it's somebody who doesn't have money for transport, also gets there. We are not paid anything, but we recognize whatever the disadvantage of somebody is, and we're able to help each other. I just want to bring it on board that, you know, but somebody will provide, some people provide feeding, and if they bring the food, people will eat. If we don't have the food, we get by. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Growing up growing up as a young Nigerian, sitting in my father's parlor, watching the head-tars and how the fellow citizens were brutalized. I have this trauma that if we all go out to protests, fight for our country. The police and the the police and the civil men that are meant to protect us are actually people that are against us. We have laws that are not laws. We have governments that are against us. They are supposed to rule us, but should I say, it's more like we are slavery, whereby now for this tax that he mentioned, where from next year they say if you are making a transaction of 2,200,000 will be removed, a lot of. Are we to start protesting for it? Are we to start? Our voices are not even being heard because any bad government, the bad government is even though we know there's a little improvement, it hasn't ended. We have where the recent insecurities, we are hearing Iroele, this amount of people are being abducted. In this state, this amount of people are being abducted. And at the end of the day, we are hearing, okay, they are being returned, which is something that we don't normally see in this country, whereby people are returned safely and everything. Even in the social media, I would actually blame Nigeria too. We have a problem, we begin to make a jest of it. Actually. Social media, we're fighting, end that. People start to make content with it, make comedies with it. Even our government are looking at us that we are not being serious with our problem. Yeah. So what is the way forward in all this? Because every sector in this country needs improvement.
Okay, thank you for your question. So, I don't know, Ma, would you like to?
Great role. Technology has played, the social media and then the phones and so on and so forth is a great advantage of this age. Someone like Ganifa and me has played his role and gone. You have a roll call of many others that have played their roles. We are playing our roles. Many of us went to jail. I went to jail, went to prison, went to everything. They would detain you, It was then 15 Iroele Road for DSS, Lagos. They take you. We are going on international street. You come to the mouth of the aircraft. You'll be arrested from there and taken off for days again. And then, so for us, the issue of fear was not there at all. The issue of fear, because like I said, you are going to die anyway. But if you believe, don't follow people blindly. Know the reason why you are on the firing squad. And then whatever happens. We are sitting here today, we're looking at Chibok girls. About 100 of them are still in the bush. You heard in the state of the nation, and you also have the Niger girls, about 324, thereabout, are still, whatever happened, you heard that some people, is it in Kwara, that the girls have returned, or Kebbi, the girls have returned, they told us nothing. We're in a country where a brigadier general, on broad daylight, if a brigadier general is not safe, I know that my comrade will come and talk later. But what we are saying is, how do you face this? You are not alone. My darlings, or my fellow compatriots, whenever you are doing anything, who else is involved? You need to talk to other people. We need to stick together like a broom, the African broom, so that you don't act alone. There is a lot of trauma that is going on. Many of us, because of the last election, can you imagine that somebody who delivered I know that I always say, and I'll continue to say it, whether he says it, we can meet each other, that the last election, general election, Professor Mahmoud had the capacity to have given us the best election. But politicians happened to him. And you can see, after the worst election, though there's some, wins in some places where they allowed it to be. But you can see today that he has been rewarded with an ambassadorial, position. This is the country that we're in. And this is where we are. But it is our country. It is my country. It is your country. I've traveled far and wide. Nigeria is one of the best countries in the world. You are blessed with resources and everything that you need to ask for, but leadership. And that's why I'm happy that my comrade went to struggle for the leadership. He didn't just stand here and talk, but he went in to struggle for the leadership. For some of us who are not in that position, is to create the way. The issue of inclusion is very, very core. Women are the worst hit when you are talking about the conflict that is going on, because the killings that are going on, whose children are they killing? Women's children. When you kill a child, you cut the umbilical cord of the mother. Whether it's in the police, look at how we are pushing our police to go forward. The army, you push them to go forward. When they are ready to hit, somebody will give information. They will go and kill all of them. Who is giving the information? Why are we lying to ourselves? I was on a panel last week and somebody said, we know why this insurgency, we know who is controlling, but we are still here lying to ourselves. But Nigeria is greater than all of us. Leave your time leave yourself, your name in the trend of times, because this is not our home. All of us are going to die. Whether you like it or not, we are going to die. But while you are on earth, when it is right for you to say the right thing, if you don't say anything, you are the one committing sin. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So we're going to take the last question, please.
Of